What is up, guys? Welcome to week 16. I beat Bryce and Ryan the Rock. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Bryce?
Doing pretty good. I'm glad we got the matching headphones going on here.
Yes, sir. My girlfriend finally took the earbuds, and I was like, darn it, we have to match with the headsets now.
Nah, I like it. It looks.
These are like the
funny.
cheapest ones on Amazon. If you're looking for a gaming headset,
Hey, they're pretty good quality though.
We're
Good
not
for Xbox,
sponsored.
Good for PC. They're
Yeah.
good for sure. But we got a lot to talk about today. If you guys follow Twitter poker, you know for sure there's been beef between Daniel Negreanu and Doug Polk. So we're going to talk about that. We've got a good guest, a good friend of mine. His name's actually not going to tell you. We'll introduce him later. But excited to have him on. And yeah, it should be a good podcast.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just to get started with the Daniel Negreanu, Doug Polk saga, can you tell me, because the only thing that I really don't understand about this is really where it all began.
So they've had beef for years, actually. The initial beef was Daniel Negreanu was caught saying on a podcast that more rake is better.
More rake is better.
And he went on to explain the comment a little more, but he denied saying it after, which is so funny because it's literally on tape. But Doug Polk then went, and during a live game about an hour into their session, takes off his shirt and has a rake.
I saw that too, yeah.
That says more rake is better.
So didn't he also buy a billboard in Las Vegas that said more rake is better?
He did. So that's pretty hilarious. But yeah, so everyone knows the video we talked about where Daniel Negreanu freaks out when his internet is not working very well. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's everywhere. Almost breaks his laptop, goes on a rant, and ends up screaming at this guy who made derogatory comments towards his wife. Ends up getting banned from Twitch. Yeah. And anyways,
least surprising thing I've ever seen, though. His comments were incredibly out of line. It's like, if you're going to be, here's what I'm saying, like, if you're going to be a streamer and you're going to be a public personality, like, he knows better than this. He's dealt with this stuff for years. The problem is that the platform's different than it was before. So whereas previously, if someone made a snide remark, like, live at a casino, he could do some Daniel Negreanu stuff and, throw something back at him without
also when you
it being streamed for thousands.
I feel like even when it is streamed for thousands, I feel like you have more of a realization of your environment. Like when you're online at home, like you also there's a camera. Yeah, the stream might say 20,000 people are watching, but like it almost doesn't feel as real. And I think he just got caught up in the moment and 100% inexcusable. Obviously, the comments that the guy made about his wife aren't cool, but there are trolls out there. Like guys in our group chat.
People live for this.
Yeah, make comments about people's wives all the time. Is it okay?
No.
Probably shouldn't be said, but like it happens as a reputable person in the poker community, you should know better.
Right.
So they've had comments even today, in the last few days.
They've been challenging. Well, to be clear, Doug started by challenging him to heads up 25 grand per table. He wanted to run four tables at no limit hold'em. Yeah. Then Negreanu countered with, okay, I'm not going to play your game on your style, on your terms. Like, let's play 9-card stud or something. And then Polk responds, okay, I'll reduce the number of tables to 2, and you pick a game, I pick a game. And Negreanu still says no. It's never going to happen. We know it is. It's just going to go back and forth, back and forth.
This comment made me sad. So Daniel tweeted, I get it. He looked up to me growing up. I was his favorite player. Then he started making clickbait videos, attacking people, and I didn't think they were appropriate. Had to hurt his feelings, which turned into a multi-year obsession. And Doug Polk responds, you were one of my favorite players, but that didn't end because I made videos online. It ended because somewhere along the way, you totally sold out to make money at the expense of the common player.
Wow.
So yeah, some fighting words. Personally, I really like Daniel Negreanu. I think what he does for the poker community is amazing. I think he produces a lot of content, and he doesn't sell at a markup, whereas these Johnny Vibe guys are trying to sell markup at like 1.6, which is just crazy. I think a reasonable markup is for their like 1.4 even. Like that's high. I would personally sell myself like 1.2 or below. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near the quality of these guys, but I think at the same time, Daniel Negreanu advertises himself on platforms that do have high rake. GG Poker's rake, I know we don't know, Americans can't play, but it's incredibly high.
Yes.
And saying more rake is better, like, no way. Like, There's just no way. Rake is bad for the game, and advertising platforms, which do rake high in games that you don't think are necessarily beatable in the long term, I think is a little scummy. Yep. I can go on and shade some other people in the community and call them scummy. I know we've talked about it.
Community, why don't you?
But I do like Daniel Negreanu, and I think he has a net positive on the community. And I think overall he's a nice guy. He's a very entertaining person. There's some people who are just rocks in games who are boring to watch, and Daniel Negreanu is not one of those people. And when you're a professional, I think it's really important when you play these home games, one, not to be a nit, to be invited back, and two, to make sure the recreational players are having a good time. And Daniel Negreanu never fails to do those things.
Yeah, I mean, all you have to do is watch any of his stream games or any of his like old TV games where if there's a businessman or like someone who maybe he even identifies as somebody who he's going to pull some money from, he's just going to start chatting him up.
100%.
The man has the gift of gab, and a lot of poker players do, and he uses it to great effect. But I think they're two grown men, and this is ridiculous. They've both done so much net positive for the community, for the two of them to drag everyone into this punt fest for no good reason. I just think it's, get over it.
He's Canadian. Yes, he is Canadian. That's how he's able to play GG poker. But he's also an American citizen and pays taxes in America, if you're curious about that.
And lives in America.
And lives in America with a very, very attractive wife. Anyways, yeah, I think it's ridiculous. It's not like these guys are doing it for MMA purposes, like gassing it up to get revenue.
Yeah.
They're not doing it to be. I think it would be amazing if they had a heads-up match. I think that would be great.
I
both
want
were
it.
Civil and said, look, like civilly shake hands, like through the internet. But yeah, I don't know. These guys just need to be more classy. Like,
I honestly agree, because like if there's anything that settles a poker beef, it's playing against each other. And if you can't bury the hatchet after that, then you're just not an adult, and no one should care anymore.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Why not settle it on the felt, even if it's one time.
Definitely entertaining, but these guys need to be more mature.
Chill.
So we also have another poker topic for you guys.
Yes.
We want to discuss how to play while stuck in a cash game. It is inevitable, regardless of your skill level.
It's gonna happen.
One, you will have losing sessions, and two, that you will be down. And how you handle when you're losing is the mark of a good and a profitable player. If you can't control yourself emotionally and not tilt, punt off, make your range crazy, you're gonna be a losing player. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to be able.
Yes, I would say poker is one of these games where, in and of itself, the game is stressful. You're gambling. There's money involved. Like, it is in and of itself a stressful game. Where tilt comes into effect is the fact that you can, in your head, control that stress and that anxiety and turn it into focus. The problem is when tilt or anger or, and tilt comes in lots of different forms, from, you get sucked out on the river, you make a huge bluff and get snapped off by top of range. Like, think of those big moments in your session that just, you're like, oh God, oh no. Like, either you make a mistake or someone catches you. And you have to really be mentally strong as a poker player, because the moment you start to let those things take a grasp in your mind, they're going to come into your thought process when you go to make important decisions on turns, rivers, flops, pre-flop, especially pre-flop. And that's the thing you're going to notice, is that with people who are on tilt especially, their pre-flop ranges are going to widen and their bluff frequency is going to increase. And that's not a good idea. You need to stick to solid poker in order to grind your way back up.
Exploit that image. So
right.
I typically...
That's a really good point.
I'd say I'm amazing at getting out of holes. I can go down...
You are.
Like, I'll go down $800 in a 1-2
in a $300 max buy-in table.
And end up a grand. Like, just like sickness like that. And I think, like, I almost want to make it look like I'm tilted. So if I normally raise to 8 and I pick up aces 2 hands later, I'll make it 10 or 12. And then I'll make my flop bet bigger, just to make it look like I'm spazzing off. I'm not spazzing off. Sometimes maybe will I be bluffing? Yes. But when I'm down and when I have the perceived image of being down, when I pot river, I have it. Like, don't call me, I have it. Like, I know that you think I'm tilted. Like, you have to just exploit that image, because most people do tilt, spaz off, open their ranges, get mad. Especially, like, losing big pots hurts whenever, but when people get, like, 2 outed, like, watch that player. You're going to make a lot of money off them in the next 20 minutes. Like, a lot of people, especially in these low-stakes games, people tend to be better at it, 2-5, 5-10 above.
Yep,
but like,
I agree.
You see people like JRB just punt off in like a six bet pot with nothing just because he lost a few pots before that.
Yeah.
It happens in the higher stakes. It happens in the lower stakes. People are human. While you can try to desensitize yourself from the money, it's difficult. And even if you do desensitize yourself from the money, losing at anything, I don't like losing. When I lose in these
we're just 30,
60, 1-2 games, like, I don't care. Like, I'm just mad because I'm losing. Like, sure, obviously downswings suck for monetary reasons. Sure,
we know.
I hate losing. Like, we can be playing cards we can be playing freaking Go Fish. I don't want to lose.
Right. I don't want to lose. I agree. I'm totally with you on that. We're just wired that way. And I think that's that's a thing that is a positive and can be a negative for poker players. There are people who aren't innately competitive but are analytical, and that side also can work very well for you. And I think that's one of the sides that like you really have to tap into, especially when you're down. Is something where you got to check yourself, because as a competitive person, when you start to see that stack go down, you start seeing yourself have to put in more rebuys and more bullets, you just get more and more frustrated as a competitor. So that's when you got to lean on your analytical side and just play solid poker.
I think the first year to 3 years, studying, I cannot even begin to explain how important it is. You thought, you talked about it, like watching Nimi and Owen's vlogs was studying.
Yeah, that's how you start. That is such a great way to start.
100%. It's an entertaining way.
Consumable. But if you're serious, and like we talked about previously, if you're on that spectrum of fun to profit to income, if you want to get anywhere close to profit, you are going to have to put in serious time off the table. Vlogs are great for entertainment. They are in the fun category. The profit category is books. It's signing up for classes. It's joining hand history groups. It's putting in the time.
Going into that, though, is the emotional part of it. Because I think you know way more than the average Rec 1-3 player. What you need to work on, and what I perceive as your biggest weakness probably right now, and you've gotten way better at it, so I might say something else, but it's just controlling that tilt, controlling that emotions. And I think that you've found outlets and ways to get way better at that.
Right.
Taking a break off when you know you're not going to be playing your best game. I've ended sessions before where I'm not even down that much just because I know I don't feel well. Like, I play Sam all the time, heads up, and I'm like, look, man, I feel tilted. I can't play right now. And he's like, completely understand. Like, I won't even be down a full buy-in, and I'm just like, that pissed me the fuck off. Like,
and that's one thing that people don't understand, and that's one thing is like you have to understand that you can get to a point in the tilt spectrum that you get to what people call monkey tilt, and that's the problem is like you can get to a certain point of being tilted and come back to being grounded, but once you cross a certain threshold, it's over, and you know it is, and in your heart of hearts, you know it is. And you're just clicking buttons and firing money into pots, and you need to stop and go to bed. Like, just pick up. Once you cross that threshold, you need to know.
I made a call yesterday. I wasn't that tilted, but I knew I was beat. I knew I was good on the turn, and I knew he got there on the river with four cards to straight, and I called. Wasn't a huge bet. Gosh, what did he call it? Masochist call? He called it something funny. It's just like, you want to feel the pain. You know you're beat. You want to feel the pain. And sometimes when you're that tilted, you almost just want to empty, not your bank account, but just lose it so you can feel better and go home. You're just so mad. Like, people
Which is insanity.
You have to.
Because you're not thinking about it in a macro sense. You're thinking about it in just that micro sense. It's 100%. Unbelievable.
It's so important to control yourself in these moments, because when most people play their A game when they're up, sometimes people loosen their range when they're up and they just like, this is profit lands. Like, I can lose it. Some people think
and then they get upstuck, and then they get ultra tilted, and then they end up back even, and then they go on monkey tilt, and then they're down 2 buy-ins all of a sudden. That's how that goes. Welcome to poker.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we've nailed that in pretty well.
Heck yeah.
To introduce our guest.
Go ahead.
Alrighty, so our guest is MGM grinder, Ethan Myers. He's been playing in our club. He's mainly a 1-3 player. 1-3 plays like 2-5 at the MGM, but very much respect him. Very good player. Just crushed a few days ago at the MGM with some homies. Interested in hearing about that, as well as just his experiences at the MGM. But without further ado, please welcome Ethan Myers.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on, man. You are giving me way too much credit, by the way. How are you guys?
We're doing great, well. Man. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you so much for having me on. Also, by the way, to the viewer who can diagnose what this is on my face, I will stake you in your next tournament buy-in under.
Oh no.
He said that a little bit too loud, and my dad might be watching, and he is a doctor. So my dad might be the one to just you might see a comment pop up in a minute with my dad just being like, "Well, this is what that is."
Go to the dermatologist, my guy.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I would. Hey, when you have people you love involved in the game, I personally don't, but I'll tell you, that's got to be helpful. So if he wants to get into it, hey, I stake him, and he does well. I mean, hey, it's a profit for me, and
he has no idea what's going on. He just enjoys watching this troll. That's what he does. He loves it.
Oh, he loves trolling. You have no art in the background today, but as exciting as that is, we would love to get into the poker talk. So the question we ask everyone is just, how did you get into poker? What's your story, man?
So have you ever seen Phil Ivey's introduction to his masterclass?
I have.
Yeah.
Similar story, like he saw his uncles or something gambling in the barber shop. I was hooked ever since. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. My Uncle John owned the local bar, Johnny's Tavern, still a local legendary spot here on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. But basically, there he started a poker game. For some reason, I remember him making the blind super, super big. Literally, everyone had one big blind. I don't know why I did that, but either way, I was hooked. I started watching, the World Series of Poker on ESPN and all that.
So they're flipping every hand.
Yeah,
everyone had one big blind.
I mean, look, this is 2000. I'm 6 years old, so this is 2003. So this is like Moneymaker just won it all, and nobody knows anything about poker, and nobody has any books or anything. It's Phil, it's Doyle Brunson Super System, and that's about it. I was not reading any of that, and I still haven't. But anyway. But Bryce, I will tell you, I am not really an MGM grinder. I've only played a few live sessions, recently, and that was actually my first time at MGM. That's when Barry
really?
I'm just saying, So I only have a couple hours in MGM, but I'll tell you, it was fantastic. I love Maryland Live, and where I live on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, I am relatively close to both. I think it would be maybe like, depending on the Bay Bridge traffic, it's about an hour and a half, really, both the Maryland Live and MGM. But I'll tell you, it's a good time at both places. MGM is a beautiful facility, though. The Maryland Live is
amazing.
But MGM is like.
What made you make the decision the other day to go to MGM? Ryan, I don't know if you knew this, but he linked up with George and Chad.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, those are awesome dudes. And I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun. I was off work Friday and Monday. So this Monday I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go to this place I've never been before, and Bryce just happened to have his homies there, and I met up with them. And after we got done playing, we met up with their friends, and that was a lot of fun we had after we got done playing. And for the record,
at the blackjack tables.
I was the only. You know what? I actually don't like to participate in the negative EV debauchery that casinos have to offer.
Oh, you're cutting out, man.
Oh man, he's cutting out again. That's great.
Yeah,
but I agree. Don't participate in the debauchery. I can't play table games.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't play table games. And Bryce is going to teach me.
That's cool,
I'm going to teach you.
It's just when I walk in, it's just like I am laser focused on the poker room because I don't feel like being tempted by any other stuff. Because I don't study blackjack, craps, any of that stuff, so I shouldn't be playing.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have an edge. Even if you're very good, 49%. Okay, I mean, obviously.
Let me tell you this. When I go to the MGM Springfield, which is a very, very small casino, and I had only been going there for a few months before the pandemic began. But over the course of that time, I'd only walked one route in and through the casino to the poker room, so I had no idea what was in the rest of the casino.
That's good. I'm glad.
I mean, that's literally how it was. I literally would walk one road. It wasn't the fastest way to the poker room. I eventually figured out that there was a faster way to the poker room, but I just kept following that one route.
Yeah, I mean, really the only time I'll play is when I'm with friends who don't play poker, and I normally don't throw too much money down. But, I mean...
You can have for fun, as long as that's fun money and not.
Hey, there you go. I mean, honestly,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll just say this right now. Out of B George,
what'd you say?
Out of B George and Chad, I was the only one who came out of at least the afternoon session up. I don't know how Chad did after he left.
the least shocking thing I've heard.
Yeah. Chat had some run bad. George wanted to. I don't know if you were reading the chat, Ryan. Sorry to get a little off.
You're good.
So he's normally like a 1-3-2-5 player. He started in 1-3 because MGM, like I said a million times, plays big. He lost a little bit, and he's like, I'll hop in 2-5. He lost some more. He's like, let's hop in 5-10. And I like trollingly said in the chat, I was like, oh, I love the strategy of whenever you're down, just move up stakes. Like. It's one thing to move up to 2-5. Like, he does play 2-5. He's comfortable with those stakes. But my dude, don't hop in 5-10 when you're down multiple buy-ins.
Yeah.
Like, a little tilty.
That's a shot take after, like, 10 winning sessions in a row where you're just feeling great. That is not something you do after 2 losing sessions at progressively higher stakes.
You had to get some money for that girl. I hope you're watching.
Isn't that called, like, the Nightingale strategy or something?
The what?
The Nightingale, I could be messing this up completely, but is it like, it's not really applicable to poker as it is like table games where you keep doubling your bet until you win.
Oh, I mean, obviously I know that strategy, but yeah, it did not.
Bryce does it every day. It's called his poker strategy.
You say I do that every day. Get out of here. But, yeah, so I guess the next question we have for you is just, what is your craziest gambling related story? It doesn't even have to be poker. Can be home game.
People see crazy stuff.
Something you've seen. We like to stay away from bad beat stories, but if it's someone raging over a bad beat story, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't really have a gambling related crazy story. Maybe a bet, like with friends over something. Okay, not going to share that one.
No, we love a good prop bet. That's the exact thing we want to hear. Unless it's like derogatory towards
the degeneracy is real.
Yeah. I love him frozen right now. This is just an amazing screenshot. I am actually going to screenshot it, and I might have to make this our picture. I'm not even. Oh, you're all right. Buddy.
I will say, sometimes live, I am a little bit of a luck box. This is a tournament I played on St. Patrick's Day last year at a small casino, Perryville. This is
Perryville.
You know,
that's where Ryan Kiger's from. I've almost been to that casino.
Oh no.
But
I don't know who he is.
Continue.
Anyway, so we're playing. It's a little tournament. You know, they have like really small tournaments, but the rake is just so big that but I still played them because I was bored. You know, college wasn't that hard.
Oh, he's coming out.
It's brutal.
Wow.
We need to go on some LTE here, buddy.
It's the Wi-Fi from your mom's house is not.
Refresh quick. I'll cut you off, then back on. But going off that huge rake thing, literally there's like $60 tournaments, like plus $20. I mean, they do it because like they have to pay the dealers and stuff, and like they don't want to lose money on a tournament. But it's crazy, some of these tournaments. Like, don't play the small tournaments. You don't have enough of an edge to.
You know what's funny is that does make me think of like Ryan.
Nobody does.
Ryan DePaulo's like cruise ship vlog, where like on cruise ships especially, they do these little, especially like tiny casinos and cruise ships. They will do gambling of some kind, but the rake will just be absolutely obscene.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
Like some home games, like 10% uncapped. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, there was a DC home game that I was invited to that had, I think it was like 10%, like it was 3 big blinds or something max, but still 10%, that's nuts. And they gave you like free food, like steak and all that good stuff. I'm like, dude, like I don't care about the food and like the hot waitresses. Like I don't play poker for the hot waitresses. Like,
no, there are people who do, but we're not that.
100%.
I mean, I certainly enjoy them, but I'm not just gonna.
Okay, Ethan is back. So, what was your side bet, Ethan? Oh, he's doing the tournament story instead. We're listening.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that one. Anyway.
Story for a few
basically.
drinks.
So, yeah, there absolutely. So, I get dealt sevens, and and you're gonna figure this out when I do my actual hand that we'll do later. My hand recall is terrible. I have a decent memory in general, but for some reason, hand recall just doesn't work for me.
Is this bad as your Wi-Fi?
Okay, you know what, Bryce? I'm gonna take all of your money in the game tonight in the club.
I don't know about that, buddy. I don't know about that.
I'm gonna sit on your left like I do every single time because I am such an EV nit. Like I just take all of it that I can. So whenever, and that's a compliment to you because you're a good player in my eyes. And
so it's not in your eyes. I'm a good player, Ethan.
I like to sit directly to Bryce's right so I can just get destroyed the entire game. It's my favorite activity.
Oh, I love it. All right, back to the story. We're getting on so many tangents.
Anyway, I get sevens. The guy on my right opens. No, hold on. Okay. I'm like in late position with sevens. The guy on my right, there's a few limps with my guy on my right. He opens and I jam. It's like a 17 big blind jam.
He's in a tournament. Relax, Bryce.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Anyway, the small blind calls, big blind calls. The guy on my right jams.
You're dead.
One of the guys calls, and one of the guys who put in like literally half of his stack folds. But anyway, there's like no more action. We turn over the cards. One guy has jacks. The small blind has jacks. The guy on my right has aces. I have sevens. I flop a set of sevens. He turns to ace, and I river the last seven for the god.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's so sick.
But anyway, it's a bounty tournament. I get some guy's bounty in a different hand, but then we take it to the final table to where we all like to keep our bounty chips. I'm the first one eliminated from the final table, so I made quads and didn't even make a profit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was not smart.
I hate to see it, but
that's
at least you got the feeling of busting aces and jacks with sevens. It's always a good time. You made a final table. Wait, how did you not profit? Is this one of these $40 tournaments where 10?
Yes, it's what you just said. It's a tiny rinky-dink tournament with a huge rake. Of course, you make the FT. You don't even see a profit. That makes sense to me.
That's horrible.
That is horrible.
We've killed some time with just these stories. So let's get into your hand review from the other day.
Yeah, totally. This is from the MGM session I had on Monday. This is a Monday afternoon. There's a decent amount of action going on. I believe I have the table covered with about 800 swipe flex. Anyway,
he's setting the mood. I love it.
Yeah, I just wait. Are you typing things? You want me to slow down?
No, you're good. You're
good. I can keep up. You just talk.
Sounds good, man. All right, so I look down at the button at 2 red kings after it folds to the cutoff, who limps for $3. I make it $15. The small blind calls, and so does the cutoff. So the flop comes to queen, 7-6. I do not remember the suits, but it was a rainbow board. Checks to me.
Fine then.
Yeah. The suits really don't play that much of a deal in this hand. If it did, then I probably would have remembered them.
So how many people are in the pot, and how much did you raise to pre-flop?
We're going 4 ways to flop. There was a limper.
3 ways.
Yeah. 3 ways.
Raised to how much?
Big calls.
I made it 15. It was just a cutoff limp to make it 15.
All right, that's fine. 2 callers.
So
yeah, 15 is the stand. Is like it's either 12 or 15 because of course the plexiglass is 7-handed, so you can go a little bit lower. But 15 is generally like the live standard. I feel like in 1-2 and 1-3.
I think that opens fine.
Cool. All right, flop comes queen, 7-6 rainbows. We flop an overpair on a dry board. Love it. I bet 25, just trying to get 2 calls.
25-30. I like that bet. Totally fine.
Yeah, I just kind of like grab a few reds. I don't really think, I'm gonna bet 25. I just honestly just grab a few.
Don't say that. That's not what you say.
That's a good bet.
This bet was meant to target, my opponent's weak queen X range. It's gonna flat this bet and maybe even call on bricky turns.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
I have an overpair. Let's just throw this money
25 to 30.
Well, I'm not
like
falling like
switch. The fairy does.
Those people who throw their chips in the pot, they need to go home. But anyway, continue.
Anyway, I kind of think about it. I think, I think that was a lie. I believe I just bet 25. I did think about what I wanted to do, and I get what I want. I do get what I desire, and I get 2 calls. So 45. I'm gonna take 5 out of the rake. So 40 plus 75. So a 115 pot here. Turn comes a 10 that brings a flush draw on board. That does complete. Yes, both of them called.
Okay, gotcha.
So pot spot 110. The turn comes a 10 that completes, and that's not complete anything. It completes 8-9, but it brings a flush draw on board.
Not the best card in the world. Queen 10.
Well, yeah, but I mean, look, they're not always going to have it. I mean, 8-9 is literally
you're still
one.
betting this, but
of course, But of course, it is an open-ended draw that gets there. That can get there anyways. So it checks me again, and I bet 50.
I think it's a little too small, to be honest with you.
I agree. I would go bigger.
I plan to bet folds, to be frankly honest with you.
Exactly. Because if you get raised on this turn, like what else is it other than like?
I think like probably like 70. When it brings a flush draw and it's a straighty board, I think you have to go a little bigger. I would go.
Because if you think about it this way, where if we're saying that to some degree,
it depends on the type of player you are.
If we're weighting our opponent's ranges in the small to big blind towards a lot of draw-y type hands that are going for either straights or flushes on this river, then the problem with betting half pot is that you're laying them almost perfect odds to call towards their draw. That's why we're recommending sizing up here. Yeah. Because with 9 outs one time, you're technically around 18%, and you betting half pot, you're giving them 4-1 on a call, and you only need 20% equity to continue. So it's a little too close. You size up, you make it harder for them to call and exclusively less profitable for them to call.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah, and I agree with you completely. I need to start committing myself to actually calculating the pot size at the table. That's something that I haven't been doing.
It's hard when it's not on the app and it's not right there.
Because I mean, like you're
it's not a bad bet. We're critiquing you, like it's
of course. Yeah, I'm not taking it personally at all. I mean, I'm trying to get better.
Yeah,
of course, we all are.
Yeah, but I mean, like, so, and it's hard to do that when you're focusing on literally everything else. You're trying to figure out like other guys' stack sizes. I do that.
Oh, there's so many factors. You're trying to not like give off any reads. Like you're trying to read the other people. It's not going on.
Well,
so you bet 50. What happens?
Small blind flats. Cutoff makes it 136. So small raise.
Exactly 136. That's interesting. So what are you thinking when he doesn't even 3x it?
So I'm thinking, well, it's a small raise, obviously. I have good odds to call, but I mean, I'm not really about odds when I have an overpair.
What do you mean you have good odds to call?
Because you're not drawing.
It's not that much more to call, but your hand can't really improve.
Right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I have 2 outs to make top set, and that's literally it. And I'm just thinking, I'm thinking now.
Yikes.
Okay, good. I'm thinking a little bit. I'm just thinking, like, is this guy gonna do this with like the other side of the open ender? Is this guy gonna like? I was thinking, well, is this guy going to be doing this with a bluff, a flush draw? And I just didn't think so. And I ultimately just chalked it up to it's 1-3. I'm beat. So I am like really praying that he has it set here, but I fold.
I think, yes, 1-3, I think people bluff less, but I think you also have to look that there's 3 people in this pot. You bet, being the pre-flop aggressor, you bet flop, you bet turn. There's a call, and he raises small. This just seems so nutted. A draw does not raise small. You could have pocket queens. You know what I mean? You could. I think it's a fold.
Yeah,
I think it's a very good fold.
Draw, probably would have jammed.
Yeah, makes sense. A lot of people can't make this fold with an overpair. They're like, oh, I've got kings. Like he probably has like queen jack, like queen x. Like I can beat him. I think this is a good fold, but at the same time, I don't think it's the most difficult fold in the world. If there were only 2 people in this pot and he decided to raise you, I think it'd be a different story. But after a bet call, raise small, I think you're beat here.
Especially considering your flop bet didn't get through either. It's like what?
Because he's not gonna call to float you. I mean, he could have picked up equity with the flush draw, but I think it's a good laydown. I think it's the correct laydown. And obviously, us critiquing you, if you'd bet bigger on the turn, you would have lost more money. But at the same time, I think he should have. But
and that's the thing is, like, I feel like if you bet bigger there on that turn card, not only you're going to disincentivize the small blind to flat, which I think also probably led into the cutoff raise. So I think by leading bigger there with kings for protection, the draw that the small blind's pretty likely to have is pretty likely to fold with someone behind it. And then you might even face a small raise from that position, or maybe not.
Good point.
Because there's not 3 people in the pot anymore. So yeah, it's interesting. That's a really interesting spot.
I do like your comment that in 1-3 people won't do that because there's definitely a lot less bluffing in 1-3 than the 2.
I agree. Yeah, you get raised on turns, you get raised on rivers, you're kind of in trouble.
100%. Especially rivers. If you get raised on a river and you're not freaking nutted, lay down your hand. People aren't very frequently raising with like nut blockers.
We can kind of hear you.
But anyways, we're pretty deep in this podcast, so we still got 4 hands to go over. But Ethan, even though you had horrible Wi-Fi, we very much appreciated you coming on today. I can't wait soon to grind with you at MGM. Get you in a home game with the boys, have some drinks. It'll be a good time.
We'll see you tonight.
I tried the 4G and it just was worse.
It was worse? Well, your face looks better.
Oh, thanks. I just kind of adjusted my position a little bit.
It was like blurry a little bit. But thank you so much for coming on, Ethan. I'll take your money in like 20
of course.
minutes.
Did you want to hear the end of that hand?
Oh, yes. What did they have? What did they have? Absolutely.
Well, I'll show you the rest of the action. So, wait, did you discuss the rest of the action while I was gone?
No, we didn't. No, we discussed your fold.
Yes.
Oh, did you discuss?
Yeah, we discussed your fold, right? But now,
what they had.
Actions on the small blind. Yeah. What happens?
Small blind flats the 86. So the pot at this point, my 50. They're like 272.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the river comes an innocuous 3 offsuit, and the cutoff. Small blind check.
Cutoff jam, small blind calls. I'm assuming
5. Like, a minuscule bet compared to the size of the pot at this point.
Wait, what did he bet? I couldn't hear you.
Literally just 75.
Oh, 75.
Oh, weird.
Was that the rest of his stack, or did he just bet that small?
You know, I am in seat 1. The cutoff is in seat 7. So the dealers between us, I can't really see a stack.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's kind of important.
That's just kind of what that was.
What does the small blind do?
Small blind calls, cutoff tables, pocket 7s for the set. Small blind tables, pocket 10s for the bigger set.
Yeah.
Wow. Wait, who had the better hand? The small blind?
Small blind. Small blind still played the 10s.
Small.
And he didn't raise the river?
He did not.
Bro, what? I mean, nice fold. You were beat by literally both of them.
Yeah, I was in 3rd place. Bronze medal.
Yeah.
No chips.
Good fold.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I just thought there was no way I was ahead.
Makes sense.
But yeah, I'm just trying to get better, and maybe one day. I mean, I play for fun right now. I would like to make it kind of a side income type of deal, but I don't want to push it. I am living at my parents' house right now, so I don't want to.
I mean, it's a process. Grind up a 1-3 roll, and if you can, try to get to 2-5. Have fun doing it.
Of course, Bart Hansen said on a recent video that he put on YouTube that if you can beat 1-3, you can beat 5-5. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think it depends on so many different factors.
That's the problem, is that like saying that someone can beat 1-3 and then they can beat 5-5, sure, from a strategical standpoint. But the problem is that when you're making that jump in stake, you're also making that jump mentally, and your bankroll has to be ready to make that jump.
Yep.
Like a 1-3
game selection depends what part of the country you're in. Like
exactly. Like it depends where you are in the country inside the U.S. Like on the East Coast and West Coast.
100%. That's what I mean. Like there's no way. Like some people, I have a buddy at MGM who literally makes a living off of playing 1-3. It's 500 deep. Then you go and play 1-2 in California, and the max is $60. You can't make a living off a $60 max. What?
No.
Just jam everything.
Oh, literally. It's so stupid. I think he said there was a $20, I don't even know. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on, Ethan. Very much appreciate it. We should get into the other hands now. But I'll see you in 20, 30 minutes. Take your money there.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. See you then.
All right. Take care, buddy. Alrighty. Wow. We had a long interview. But let's get right into it. The first hand that we have is your
me.
Hand?
Yeah, man.
Right, so do you want to give a little background quick?
Yeah, so this was last week, right after the podcast. We had quite literally just gotten off. and sat down at the 1-2 game, and we're literally 9 hands into the session here. So we are just getting kind of warmed up, getting comfortable, seeing where things are at, and we're currently 7-handed, so things have started to heat up. And we wake up with jacks in the big blind. There's an open from early-ish position, followed by a flat on the button. And I go ahead and 3-bet it to 31. Too small. I think the reason why it was too small was because I didn't notice the flatter on the button. Mm-hmm. I think that's why. Because most of the time there, I'm going 40 minimum. Like 45 to 50 is probably even on the small side for a 3-bet there. But that's probably the sizing that I would go for. So
I think it's a little small. I think at the same time, Fog raising to 10 honestly doesn't always signal strength. He likes to raise on the bigger side. I think
especially in
35 is good. I think 40 might be a little big. I think in a live game 40. It's interesting. I think your sizing should be different between live and online.
I agree. But yes, we can all agree it's a little small. Yeah, especially out of position as well. You should be
out of position. I think is a very important point to make.
Right. All right, if I'm on the button and it's like open from middle position, flat from late position, and then I'm there, I'm probably 3-betting to 35 smaller, but I should be going to 40. 100%. So we get a full flat.
Also, for just time management purposes, I think we should try to make each hand about 5 minutes, so we make it about an hour. But anyways, so we get 2 flats, 4-5 king, not the best flop in the world. I'm so interested as to what you do. Check.
I check.
So it's interesting. With 2 people, I think this is 100% a c-bet. With 3, it gets a little stickier.
That's what
obviously
I'm thinking,
king should favor your range, but at the same time, callers could king 10, king jack, any flush draw. I think I like a bet here.
I like a bet here in hindsight.
Yeah.
Because if we think about it this way with the pre-flop action, with the open from under the gun, flat from the button, and then I 3-bet and Fog just flats from the early position, that we can't super cap his range, but we can sort of cap it to, at best, he's got a weak king. Obviously, this isn't ace king. This is king queen in the best case scenario.
Little Waddle, I don't think has too many kings, unless he decided to just flat call with a king jack suited.
Exactly.
I expect king jack of king jack suited, king jack off to, especially this player, to raise. He likes to raise pre-flop a lot. So I think 100%. He can have a ton of his range is so wide, 7-8 suited, 10-8 suited. You know, literally so wide. Even if he has a 4 or 5, you want to get value from that. I doubt he has many kings. And Fog, I don't see having that many kings either. Do we expect him to raise king jack off to $10? Maybe, or something of that nature.
Might be even a little nitty for that.
Yeah. I think you should have bet here. I don't
hate
agree. Check, but I think you should have bet. When it checks through, you expect to be good here all of the time. 8, good card. If you don't bet this, I'm going to smack you.
Oh, I bet.
All right, $56.
It's interesting. I don't know about the sizing. It's more than half pot, and I guess I do want to be putting pressure, but what the heck am I putting pressure on? Diamond draws that checked flop that were, want to see river.
I don't hate it.
I don't, that's the thing is I'm torn because I think I do get called obviously by any king here, but I expected kings to bet flop. It's just a weird spot.
Maybe 65, 60 to 65 is probably what I would size.
Interesting. Why would you go bigger?
There's a double. Oh, you were thinking about double flush draw. I'm interested. Do you bet a diamond draw on the button here if you're Little Waddle? If he does, do you call a bet? That's the thing. That's so interesting. If he bets $20, do you call? I think you absolutely have to. But do you call this flop if he bets 20 into? Well,
yeah, I'm definitely on a 4-5 king board with jacks. Facing the button.
If you're gonna call a bet, why not raise or why not bet? Do you think what kings do you think he has that will raise you?
Yeah,
he
they are.
You with 6, 7 of diamonds, set of 4s, set of 5s, whatever. But I think if you're gonna call a bet, you should be betting because he doesn't have too many hands
that's a really interesting point.
That can raise you, and you get to set your own price, and you should be ahead here. I think most of the time. So I think you should have bet flop. Anyways, I think this turn sizing's okay. Let's see how Little Waddle reacts. Jams. We talk about this hand. We were on call for this hand, right?
and this is the best part. There's this perfect line where Bryce is like, Ryan, I'm not going to say anything, but name a single value hand.
No, I think I said just think about it. I was like, bro, just
and then you're
think
like,
about it.
Name a value hand.
Let's not expose me for helping you too much. I did start with think about it, and you did, and you went through in your head, and you're like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Unless he had a set of 8s, it doesn't make sense.
Or the insane trap with 4s or 5s. Like
I don't think he does. 6, 7, 4s or 5s. 6, 7 makes way more sense than 4, 5.
Yeah, exactly. 6, 7, or 8.
You toss in the call after not too long.
Begrudgingly.
Begrudgingly. And why does his hand not flip over? Oh, it does. Ace Jack of Diamonds. So flush draw makes complete sense. You scoop. He's mad. He immediately leaves, racks up, and bounces. And amazing call. Table went wild. But at the same time, I don't think it's that sick of a call.
It's not that sick of a call, right? And that's the funny part is even people at the table reacting to it. But that was the funny part is that when you look at the spot in a vacuum, you're like, whoa, you bet turn and then he raises huge. Like, he just rips it in your face. Wow, that's a strong line. But then when you think about it, you're like, this is a strong line, but from what hand?
Yeah.
And that's
I don't think a big king or I don't think a bad king does that.
No.
Did you link
suicide?
Did you link the 25-50 hand? I don't see it. But while we wait for you to find that link, we'll pull up my fun hand from last night. Crazy session last night, lots of swings. Was playing 2-4, went down about 1,800 completely from run bad. Like genuinely not a play that I can think of that I regret. Ended up like negative 300, but fun session. Anyways, this was a very interesting spot that I had. Let me pull up the screen share. Alrighty. Are you finding that hand, by the way?
Nope. We're going to have to do that one next week. Fun.
We'll have to do that one next
Great
week.
to look forward to. High stakes next week, 25-50.
All right. So, anyways,
It isn't a tournament, but it looks better this
Am I that deep? Am I 1.95 deep?
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't put in his stack depth.
Oh, that is huge. What is he effective? Do we have that?
He's very similar to you. I think you guys were both at 1.9K.
I think he's like 1,900. Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a little bit shorter, but it's very close in terms of stack size.
So I make it 14. Interesting. I've been raising to 16 most of the time. I don't know why I made it 14, but I think this is fine. I'm raising most of my buttons. He raised to 60. So normally, actually later in the session, it goes to 64, which is just pretty damn big. We were really deep. So 3-4 of hearts is not a good hand. I very much recognize that. But both of us being 2K deep, putting 5% of my stack in with 3-4, I think is incredibly disguised. And when he'd been 3-betting from out of position, he'd been pretty strong. So I expect to hit to get a ton of money in.
Right.
So that's kind of my logic. Obviously, 3-4 of hearts is an amazing hand. I would not have called if we were 1K deep. Being 2K deep, I think the call is okay.
Yes.
Especially because we both have been 3-betting pretty wide. He'd 3-bet out of position Ace-7 offsuit. So the fact that he'd been 3-betting that wide led to this call. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think it's fine as well. I like your explanation. I can't fault you for it.
I put in the call, 120 in the pot. And we see a flop of 3-7 ace. Not the best flop in the world. Picked up a pair.
You're ahead here some percentage of the time.
Yeah.
I
obviously to be behind. When I make the call, when you call with 3-4 hearts, you can't fold.
You can't fold when you flop a pair.
He bets less. You can't fold. You got backdoor hearts. You got backdoor straight potential. You got to call.
Absolutely.
So turn brings it 2, and we pick up some more equity.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Straight draw. So now any 3, any 4, any 5, I expect to be ahead here. So at this point, I'm kind of ranging him if he decides to bet on an overpair to the 7s or an ace. Pretty strong ace when he 3-bets. Sure, he can have Ace-3, Ace-2 suited, but I expect it. I at this point I'm ranging him Ace-Jack.
You're totally right. He can have eights through aces.
I mean, his range is still pretty wide here until I see his sizing.
There's a lot of suited Broadway that we can throw away as soon as
he sizes 120 into 232. I don't think it's a bluff. This is a really, really dry board, And I don't think I think he would actually size up a little more if he had a hand like tens jacks, repping the better aces, knowing that I don't have them. Sure, I can have the ace deuce, ace threes more than he can, but when he bets 120, I am ranging him ace queen, ace king, ace jack bottom range. I think he has an ace. Sure, he could even have aces here. I think that when I pick up the deuce, I call. Otherwise, I fold. If I'd picked up hearts, I'd consider calling, depending on what it was. But
right, depending on which heart.
I decide to just call and reevaluate river. I don't have an exact plan for river. I plan on folding to.
You also have a pretty sneaky amount of outs here. If we're giving you 2 3s, 3 4s, and 4 5s,
exactly.
You've got a sneaky number of outs here.
Exactly. So I think I can totally make profitably.
And yeah, if you hit, I mean,
I plan to fold most rivers if I don't hit.
Okay.
And the river comes.
So that's your plan going in. Slow motion.
Brick. 9 of clubs. I don't see him having ace 9, pocket 9s here ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So complete brick. And let's see what he does with it. He leads for 198.
198.
Pretty small bet. Not the wettest board in the world.
I mean, it's looking for calls. It screams ace.
It screams value. In no world do I flat call here. I make some sick calls with low pairs, but in no world am I flat calling here. So I have 2 options. I can raise or I can fold. And I had not been making too many river bluffs, and my thoughts here were ace king, ace queen.
Right.
This screams value bet. 200 to 472 screams value bet. I think he's targeting a worse ace. And I think that this board is so damn dry that I don't have many bluffs.
Yep.
Like, it is hard to name a bluff. Am I turning 7-8 suited into a bluff that decide to call turn? Well, okay. I mean, I think I fold turn with 7-8 and just decide to raise river. No, I don't think I do. So I think I don't float turns with the intention to raise rivers with many hands at all. And I think I have all the ace 3, ace deuces, even ace 7, ace 9s. He doesn't have them. He has the ace kings, ace queens. Sure, even he has a set of aces, and he could be so nutted that I'm screwed. I also have all the sets. I have sets of 3s, sets of 2s, sets of deuces, sets of 7s. I don't really have too many.
That's the thing is, any 3 bets we're ranging him towards 8s plus with your opening range containing all the lower pocket pairs.
I play this hand the exact way that I do if I have a set of 3s.
If you have a set
of deuces, I call and then I raise river.
Call, raise.
With all that said, I decide to raise with the 3-4 heart.
It's super funny because when I first saw this line, I was just like, this is punt city. Like, what the heck is Bryce doing nowadays? Like, he's turning 3-4 into a bluff. Like, the more you discuss the range analysis here, like, just because the board doesn't get there on the river doesn't mean that you can't bluff at it. People very often think that wet boards are the ones that you should be bluffing at. And dry boards like this, when you have the range advantage that we explained, and if you think back and you're like, I can absolutely rep a set on this river going
I wasn't planning on a river to bluff, but when the river doesn't come, king, queen, jack, and he sizes this, I just, having played literally so many hours and so many sessions against a specific opponent, I don't think, and I thought about it, I was like, what would I do if I get raised to 600 with ace king here? Do I bet here if I'm him? I think the answer is yes, and I think I don't expect him to raise that frequently. And I think that was probably his same logic.
Right.
And I think ace king and ace queen I can get to fold. And I've made that mistake before, ranging my opponent, thinking they have an exact hand, raising and getting snapped off. But what the hell? How can ace king, ace queen call here when I raise to 600? What bluffs do I have? I know I've said it so many times. I just don't have many. And obviously, there's so many value pair combinations that I could have that would pocket 3s, pocket 7s, pocket deuces. I could have some random 2-pair. So after I make this play, he ends up folding.
And not to mention the sizing as well. Not to mention that you went
like the
to
sizing?
600. I love the sizing. I think it was perfect. I think it screams a set when he bets out 200 and you 3x it into his I mean, it's the right size.
Because he ranged me. He thought I had a weird 2-pair, but I don't know what weird 2-pair I have.
I don't.
7-9.
Yeah, and also does ace 7 or ace 9 raise this river? Maybe ace 9 does, but I don't know if
I
ace
think
7.
7-9 could raise her. If I range him on what I'm ranging him on,
well, that's what I'm saying.
And I river the 9, I think 7-9's really the only 2-pair that makes sense. I think sets make a lot more sense. Anyways, he tells me he folded ace king, and we get the bluff through and win the big pot, which is much needed because we were down pretty much at this point. And we feel very good about that one. We went with our read. We correctly ranged the opponent. We made the right decision. Obviously, this play could have made me look stupid if he called, but I thought that ace, king, ace, queen I could get to lay down. I was correct.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, with this defense of the play, I don't think that you could beat yourself up if they even called.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sarah knows about sizings.
Yeah, she does. Anyways, we would have had 2 hands, but we have one more hand for you guys.
Yep.
Because Ryan screwed up. What's new? But it'll be great for next week.
13, whatever, how many podcasts we've done.
13, buddy. It's literally on the screen how many podcasts we've had. What do you mean 13?
Where?
Top left, Poker Podcast Week 16.
It's a tiny thing. I had to zoom out. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's part of the screen.
Anyways, share screen. One more hand. Thank you for tuning in again, you guys. This hand is from I'm a Bot, aka Evan, who's joined the podcast twice. He's an alright dude.
You were making 2-time jackets.
He's been crushing. Gas him up a little bit last few weeks.
Cool to do. He did a little bankroll challenge, which was very interesting.
Why do we not have a name in for small blind Ryan? What are we doing here? Oh, we do. Never mind. I thought you were small blind. You have RPaul. I apologize. I just love roasting Ryan. What did you raise to? What just happened? What stakes are we playing? I need some background, Ryan.
So this is a 50-cent $1 online game. They are 6-handed. This is 100 hands into the session. He's up a little bit. And we are in the cutoff with ace-9 of clubs. We face an under-the-gun raise from an under-the-gun raiser who we said is particularly tight in early position. That is the reason why he decided not to 3-bet, because that was something that I pressed him on when he talked about this hand, and I was like, I don't really know. I think I see ace-9 in the cutoff as a slam, not a slam dunk, but 6-handed particularly.
I don't think slam dunk. I think it's more of a 3-bet or fold kind of situation.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, is that I don't think it operates well as a flat, because then you incentivize a lot of garbage to come along with you, and then you're just hoping you flop a flush draw and get there, and that's never fun with a suited ace. I like taking control of the pot here, but again, given his explanation that under the gun is a tight player,
I think the flat's okay too. I mean, we're in position. Yeah, I think ace-9 flat's okay.
We get a flat from the big blind, 3 ways.
About $10 in the pot. Pretty good flop, but I'm interested to see how Mookie plays it. Check to Mookie. Mookie checks. You bet 525. I think the sizing's okay. I may size up a little bit, but that's fine, I guess.
Interesting that we get 2 callers.
Very, very, very interesting. Especially Mookie being the pre-flop aggressor and deciding to c-bet this.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to range him. King, queen, queen, jack, maybe some suits in there. Unless he has pocket aces, I don't expect him to have an ace that checks.
Yes.
I expect any ace unless it's pocket aces.
Yes.
And I think pocket aces should bet because it's a pretty wet board. Little straighty with the as well as the flush draw. So I don't even know how to range Mookie, to be honest. Hand of God's range pretty damn wide, so I'm not even gonna attempt to range it.
Yeah, he can have a 7.
I don't love it here, but I expect you to be ahead here most of the time. Jack comes, one of the worst cards in the deck.
Yes.
Check to Mookie. It's on you. I think a check is fine, to be honest.
Check's fine.
Pot control. I mean,
you block one of the more obvious straight draws with the oh boy, and then there's a 9 on the river. Well, you did block.
4 to a straight. Another horrible card for you. Not 4 to a straight. Gutter ball to a straight, but yeah, 4 to. Anyways, Hand of God decides to check. I'm assuming based on how I know this hand goes, and Mookie makes it 16 and 25. And RPaul calls.
It's Evan, but you know.
Evan calls.
It's interesting.
It's a weird spot. I actually expect him to have it here most of the time.
Right, because we were literally talking about King Queen as being one of the possible combinations that could flat there.
As well as the 8. Yeah, Queen King is just so nutted. And
right.
I think when he checks the flop after you tell me he's a nitty player, I think he's extremely nitty. When you're checking the flop, when you raise pre-flop and you get an ace-high board and you're checking it, you should not be checking that at a very high frequency. So I expect him to have it most of the time here. What bluffs does he have? I don't expect him to bet a marginal hand for value. So with that said, I expect him to just have you beat. Yeah, you have ace-9, you river 2-pair, and if this is an information call and you just kind of want to see what he's raising with pre-flop, like whatever, I've made information calls before, I'm not going to lie.
Right.
But if this is a genuine call thinking you're good,
you're like, what the heck?
I disagree.
Check calls, checks turn, leads river.
That's into 2 people with 4 to a straight when he didn't c-bet flop. I think him not c-betting flop and knowing he's a tight player, I just think this screams value. If you played this hand this way against me, Ryan, I would snap fold.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the funny part is like with like a straight here containing an 8, I would absolutely bet this or even bigger.
If Trolling bets thinking this is a scare card, I might call him. I really
right. Yeah. Player dependent.
But I think against most opponents, I think I fold given the way the opponent played this hand.
But I could totally see after them playing this so passively that you're just like, man, how did they ever show up with a straight here? And then you're making that call. Yeah, you can kind of put yourself into that mode just because of the passive line. You're like, well, they show up with here. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. They could go check, check, bet with an 8 here.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think that Evan should certainly think about utilizing my coaching services. I'm starting to offer them. And I know you're a good player and you've been crushing, but making this call, I think, just makes you look almost as bad as you playing that hand when we had you on last time, buddy. So I really hope you're listening to this. I hope you heed my advice. I hope you get better. I really hope to see you succeed.
Yeah,
and,
one day.
You sucked at this hand, but you're a good player. It happens. We make mistakes. We move on.
Wait, it was a mistake? The viewers haven't seen.
Yeah,
play, Bryce.
Yeah. But thank you for the submission. I always love making you look like an idiot on stream. And thank
Bryce,
you all for listening.
We don't know what the villain had.
Oh, we don't know what the villain had. That's what you're saying. Villain had him beat. That's why I'm talking like this.
Yeah, that's why you're talking like this.
Villain had the 8, obviously. He didn't need to have Queen King to value bet your ass. And,
it's funny, yeah, because, that's another thing is like, you can have that sort of conversation about like when he checks flop, checks turn, we're expecting him to show up there with bottom of range hands. And what's a bottom of range under the gun opening? 7-8 suited makes a lot of sense. 100%. Hard to think about it. Hard to make your way to that combination of hands. But when we get to look at it in a vacuum on a podcast, it makes it so easy, Bryce. It's so easy.
I love the term in a vacuum.
I love it.
Anyways, we probably wouldn't have even had time for that last hand, so no worries on your screw up, Ryan. But thank you so much again for Ethan coming on. Next time, let's have some better audio quality. But it's all good. Looking forward to this 1-2 game tonight. Wednesday is Ryan's most profitable day, and Ryan recently got out of the downswing that we hadn't been talking about, but completely out and in profit land. Woo! So very happy to see him do that. He's been crushing. He's been playing great, feeling good. Excited to see where that takes him.
So am I.
I'm always winning. I lost last night.
Yeah, it's just casual. It's okay.
Variance, but thank you all for tuning in. Please continue to submit hands. We got some good hands for next week saved up in the bank, but we have 2 amazing guests planned for the next 2 weeks. Excited to get those guys on. Yep. And this is us signing off. Do you have any parting words for our viewers, Ryan?
Drop comments if you have critiques for us on the pod, things that we could be doing better. If you want to make us a jingle, we're still looking for a jingle.
100%. Yeah, I'll pay for it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks to Ben and Sarah for engaging with us and commenting. Very much appreciate you guys.
Yes.
And this is us signing off. And have a great night.
See you next week.